Hi, I'm Barb Sotiropoulos, and I'm a graphic designer and mixed media artist in Calgary. I was actually just really surprised last year with just the whole experience. I had heard about the show for many years, and I was always just a little bit apprehensive about applying, and then I did, and I was shocked with kind of how well my work sold. I had just switched from being a color pencil mixed media artist and decided doing like a newer style of painting. And I put a lot of that work into the show and it all sold immediately. So it was really validating that way to sort of put this newer style of work that I had just started and working on and have it just be so successful. So it was really motivating, and also just a lot of the artists that I met last year, it was amazing. Just the sense of community. It was really just awesome to be able to get out and see so many different artists in Calgary, and just seeing the people that showed up to buy art. I mean, I think sometimes people think that no one's buying art anymore, and that's just not the case. So it was just an overall good experience. So I thought, I'm gonna do this again. Colored pencil is a really rewarding medium, but it's very slow. So it was really hard to create multiple pieces. So when I was doing a lot of colored pencil work, I would maybe produce 15 pieces a year. And now that I'm back to painting, I mean, at this point in the year, I'm already at about 100 pieces. So it's a significant difference. And it also has allowed me to sort of explore some of the subject matter and ideas that I've had creatively a lot easier. I'm mostly inspired by nature, so whether that's animals or landscapes I'm doing a lot of lately, but I'm really inspired also by mythology and sort of the relationship between humankind and nature, or humankind and animals. So any kind of symbolism associated with that is something that I'm very drawn to and inspired by, and motivates me to create different pieces. So a lot of times you won't necessarily see it in the work itself, but something about what it's called or the meaning behind it for me will have something intertwined with something to do with either symbolism or mythology. So this piece, for example, is of Lake Louise, and I've been there many times, and I find, you know, this location especially has a different vibe in the winter than it does in the summer and all year round. Like, there's just so much you can get from this location in terms of, you know, depending on what the weather's doing, what the sun's doing. And in this case, in this piece, I really wanted to focus on, you know, maybe a day where it wasn't as clear, and just the idea of like, there's all these colors that are still visible in everything, even when it's not just that flat turquoise. Just really kind of digging into the idea of these textures and colors that if you really stop and look at something and appreciate it, that you can kind of draw from the scene. This is sort of a famous location in Germany, but one of the things that's inspiring about painting locations that I haven't been to is that it allows me to kind of experience them sort of as an observer, but it's also motivating to want to go visit those places and then get that different perspective. But I think sometimes when you're looking at something, it allows you to almost have a level of creativity that you wouldn't if you know that place a little more intimately. It allows you to use your imagination a little bit more to sort of think, you know, what is the atmosphere like in this place, and how can I put that into the artwork, or give someone a different perspective of that place, or do something with the color to amplify, you know, the color in the water, or the color in the trees. I really like doing a lot of vibrant color in my work, just to sort of amplify that whole feeling of a certain location, or, you know, a particular animal and that sort of thing. I'm trying to use a lot of colors that I'm drawn to. I mean, a lot of my current work actually has a lot more oranges, which you'll see in this piece. I'm either using kind of blues and turquoises, or really going into like the vibrant warms, which I'm sort of really enjoying right now. I really like having gold or something that's a little bit shiny and reflective. It gives people who actually own an original something extra to sort of interact with their eyes. Like, it's not just a, you know, an experience where like, oh, the print's exactly like the original. Like, there's aspects to this that you're only ever gonna get when you experience the original as opposed to a print. So like even the edges on this are kind of gold. And I like just adding that extra element into an original. I'm going to be bringing a mix of landscapes, animal pieces, a lot of birds. Birds seem to be a really popular subject that people like to buy from me, so there'll be a lot of those pieces. And I will have some prints of my works, like prints of this particular piece, for example. But yeah, just kind of a collection of work that I think just really represents the space that I'm in right now creatively. I mean, because I work full-time as a graphic designer, I kind of just paint when I can. So that usually typically tends to be later at night or on weekends, which, I mean, I love doing it, so it's not a big deal, but the ritual is more just like getting in there and getting it done. So I really love the challenge of, you know, going from doing something that graphic design in a lot of ways is very much creative problem solving, but it's not necessarily creativity in the same way that art is. So, you know, it allows me to kind of use a sort of different part of my creative brain and go into doing things, you know, traditionally, as opposed to, you know, even just doing digital art. Like some people will do graphic design and digital art, but for me, I like the switch of going from something that's very digital to something that's very tactile and very analog almost, so. The biggest thing I would say that's changed since the last one, Art Under 100 show, was that I started planning earlier. I think last year I came with you know, a handful of kind of newer pieces and a lot of older works. So I did bring some of my older colored pencil stuff. I even brought stuff from college, from art school. But I felt like when I got a good sense of what was selling and sort of what was popular with people, I made it a point to start basically in January this year to start planning those pieces ahead of time and really thinking about, you know, what kind of pieces people would gravitate towards and sort of making a plan around that and making sure that I was just pacing myself, so I didn't feel like in the last 2 months of the year I was like scrambling to get all these pieces done. Obviously people are gravitated towards buying originals at the show, so I wanted to make sure I had as many as possible and ones that I feel are good representations of my style and of my ability as well.